workshop. So we discussed about the flexbox and the grid, and it's also part of responsive web design. And we said that the flexbox handles either the row or the column, while the grid handles both the column and the grid. We'll give some properties for the flexbox, which we explain how they work, like the align item, align content, justify content, more about it, like the flex grow, flex wrap, so on and so forth. And for the grid, we spoke about important information, the grid, which helps us on a full layout. And we gave a very demo example, like when you have to have a head section, a sidebar, menu, and a filter. This kind of structure, which you can use our grid to specify the columns and the rows respectively. And today we'll be taking further from that topic. Arrow, please, I'm still waiting for you. I don't know, is it still advanced CSS workshop? So we have spoken a lot on the fundamentals, starting from HTML into CSS, now discussing the advanced CSS, which will focus on responsiveness, making your page responsive, meaning letting adapt to different screen. Alright, screen sizes. Today our agenda is we focus on responsive and advanced CSS and responsive designs, and we'll do some practical depending on how time permits us. First question you ask, what is responsive design? A responsive design, which is in short your laptop, your smart TV, you can bear with me that they are not of the same sizes. Their views, their screens are not of the same sizes. So how do you develop or design a web that will serve suitable for every screen without you developing different programs? That means one code becomes suitable for every screen. That is the idea of developing a responsive design. Right? So our goal here is to provide optimal viewing experience. That is the English should be even the major goal. Optimal viewing experience, improve usability, and ensure compatibility across devices. The first and the last goals is very, very important. And these are the devices we have. We have the mobile phones, the tablet, our laptops, the desktops, smart TVs. Just like I said, you can bear witness with this and agree with me that all these have different sizes on regarding their screens. Which the smallest should be the mobile phone, which has the smallest. So why responsive design is important? So over 60% of traffic comes from your mobile devices, which is absolutely true. So if you check those people that access the particular house, you will see that majority has phone. Not even everybody has a tablet or a laptop or even a desktop. Even some that has the laptop don't use it. But you see that the majority, and I can attest to that, this percentage is even just like aggregate. I believe that the percentage is over 60%. It should up to 70% of the traffic that comes from mobile devices, because majority uses mobile more often than they use other screens. So that's why you must try to make every page you develop very responsive, majorly for mobile. So improve user experience, right? Imagine some website you will see and you just feel like, I just want to stay more, explore more. Why do people stay more on Facebook? Why do people stay more on TikTok? Why do people stay more on Instagram? It's just because of the flexibility of their design, how lovely and responsive those designs are. So this reduce need for multiple websites, like I said. So if you want to develop a website for different screen sizes, you don't need to do website A, website B, website D, or website E for different screen. No, there is no need for multiple websites. One website can be used to achieve all these purpose and increase engagement and conversions. So core principles of responsive design. So these are the core principles that we follow. First, we must have a flow layout. This flow layout, know what the flow layout, the flexible images, right? These are they are major, very major that you see that need to be responsive. The media query, mobile first design. So these are major targets. Whenever you are developing, you first focus on mobile first design. Like you focus on the mobile views first before any other thing. And next is responsive typography, which is like your text and your font sizes. So we'll be taking this one after the other, and as time permits us, let's see how far we can go. So first we have the flow layer. So this flow layer, we have two categories actually. We have the fixed and the fluid, just like the static and dynamic. So the fixed uses pixel. Like you remember when we did about unit, I told you about absolute unit and relative unit. I believe you still remember that. And I spoke about how absolute units which are fixed. So they use this px, pixels, and they don't adapt to screen sizes. So that means if I say 10 pixel, 8 pixels, it will remain of that size depending where I'm viewing it. If it's small on my mobile, or if it's medium on my mobile, or okay on my mobile, that means on my light screen it will be very small. So next is the fluid, which is what is recommended. So most times you use, or it's more recommended to use percentage in view width, view height, because these adapt to frame width. So please, very quickly before we proceed, look at A and look at B. Which of them is fixed and which of them is fluid on the unit? This one, please, very fast so we can proceed. A, which of them is fixed, and which of them is fluid?
Okay, A is fixed and B is fluid
Why is A fixed?
because it is in pixel while
Okay,
B is fluid because it
is
is
in
in percentage.
percentage. Absolutely, that's correct. Thank you very much. So let's proceed. So next, like I'm bringing down this relative unit again for us to recap. We spoke about the absolute unit, which I say absolute units are same as the fixed, and the relative unit, which also like the fluid. So we have this unit, the percentage, the EM, the REM, the view width, view height, and this fraction for the grade. When we are discussing about this grade last class, we spoke about the fraction. All right. So next is the flexible image. So image must scale within their container for the following reasons. So this is the reasons why your image must means adapt to the whatever sizes or whatever container it is. Because to prevent overflow and maintain aspect ratio and scales properly on small screen. That means if I have my image to be this, and as I'm adjusting my image, it should work perfectly well. Perfectly well. So this is a responsive background. Okay, before this is a responsive image. How to make image responsive? Let me see if I can share my code a very quick so that I can make this more interactive. Sorry, I will stop this code. Right. This my entire screen. Okay. Confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
See my screen, Chisholm? Yeah, okay, thank you very much. All right, quick. So a very quick one. I will just have a very simple. Let's call this um arrow wd dot html. So this stands for responsive web design, the short form, and we'll have this CSS arrow wd dot css. So I'll very quick link up this. Okay, so call this responsive, and I just call it in short ROWD. Very fast. I can have my link CSS, and now we have this dot image. Okay, CSS. I should access CSS and ROWD. Perfect. So let me just introduce an image here. Image img, and I will link my image. So let me use this. So let's view how this appears. Let me run this code now. Perfect. You can see how large this image is even on my last screen. So let me inspect this for other screens. Let's see something. You can see that in smaller screen, this image does not adapt. It gets big. Then we have to come and scroll, look around. So the idea for this responsive image, that image should be responsive in every sizes, every screen sizes, right? So you can see the sizes as it's reducing. Just watch up here. You can see this is where you inspect. You can see that this is using by the width of 330 pixels as we are enlarging. If I take it, you see increasing. So even in small, the last screen, this image is still big. So to make this responsive, you must use the image responsiveness. So I can just call img, which is, since I have only one image. Then to do that, all I have to do is to set my maximum width. You can now see the idea of this. Let me remove this. Let me remove the whole of this. Let me go back to what I was discussing. So I said the idea of image should be responsive. So I introduced this my image. Let's put this.
Sorry, is it my network? Because I can't hear anything. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Battery is fast draining. The internet should help me. Alright, so I said you can just set the width to be 100% and set the maximum width to whatever width you want it to be fixed on. This is pixel. You can set it. So I want it to fix on maybe 300 pixels. So once you get to 300 pixels or 300 pixels and above, it will fix. It will be fixed. So you can see.
Question
So
mark at
once
the
it's
location,
300
not at.
above 300,
It
just
means
keep
the
checking
whole
this
idea is
width. You
question
can see
mark.
the width. This is the width. So once it gets to 300, this is the actual width of it. So below 300, we start adapting to the screen.
Chess.
So to show that it's still very, very
Chess.
responsive.
You don't need to
But
pass your this to say. They find
300 width
I don't
takes up the maximum width
don't
which we
give
have
that.
specified to
Yeah,
make
my
this fast
pen.
and also responsive.
Latest. We had match. Have you carried
So
that
let's
guitar?
move very fast.
No, what you
Next one is the responsive background image. So
Very
responsive
shades.
background image, this covers image fields containers. So I will show this very, very quick. And so just to
perfumes.
add,
Do you know
maybe I
even
can
I'm the
just
one that
add.
uses your perfume? Do you
Okay.
know that?
I can add a class here and call it hero.
Is this blue? Why did you put it? Why did you
Normally
use it
use
now?
hero whenever you're doing on
It's
background.
black.
It's just a ritual, not actually
Make
compulsory.
content.
So I can call the
Don't
hero
start
class,
making content by August.
and I will set my background image.
This
So
black now.
this background image is actually like setting a background instead of where you're seeing the white. I want to set a background to it. So maybe let me use my image to do that. So I will say background image.
I said no.
I'll use the URL to
No.
set up. So I will also target my path, leave here, come to img, and let's use my image for instance. Then I can set the background size. So say cover, let him cover the entire screen, and I will say background position. I say center. So what this says, you can see. So it centers this even a smaller screen, it remains responsive even for my back. So I want to use image. So there's another one. Let's see if I can stop the repeat. Let's see. Background repeat. You can say no repeat. Let's see. Good. So then when it's no repeat, so you want image stuff. The advantage of this no repeat is that on a smaller screen, the entire size of that image, size. So maybe let's leave it to repeat for now. Repeat to repeat. Good. And you can see that even a smaller screen, the idea you can see that a smaller screen, my background still remain responsive. So whenever you are using image for background, make sure you set up this to make it very responsive. That is for image responsiveness. Next one is very, very important. Here is the Oga Patapata overall of working on responsiveness. Is the media query. Others are very important, but this is what actually controls everything. So what are media queries? So this allows CSS to apply styles based on device characteristics like the height, the width, orientation, and the resolution. So here we can target.
That's what I'm saying. No, you know you should hear me when I speak.
You can still hear me. Okay, thank you. My internet is now scary. Let me open up this. Close this background. Let's use only the image for now. I'll use the image for now. So let's assume, like I said, watch this size is. You can see at this size what happens. That at last screen he still maintain the size, but when I come to lower screen, he still maintain. So let's say I now want something to happen, maybe at this particular screen size or lower, I want a different thing to happen, and at this particular screen size, I want something else to happen. And as I move on, at this particular screen size, I still want something else to happen. So I'm adjusting different screen. Maybe a smaller screen, I want something else to happen. Or maybe even a smaller screen, I don't even want this image to be showing anymore. Maybe I just want something else to show. So that is where the media query comes in. So you can use this media query to manipulate a lot of things, to change different outputs depending on the screen. So this is the syntax. So first you add meaning at most. Then if I say minimum width, I mean it starts from that minimum. So that effect will not happen until it gets to the minimum size. So let's practicalize this before we move further. Please confirm that you can still hear me. I'm not seeing
Yes,
the
sir.
Discord. So just confirm you can hear me. Jason?
Yes, sir. Very clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me add a div. Let's say a div of container of a class container, and I will just do something very simple then, so don't waste much time. So I can say container, and I say background color of this container by default it should have a height, let's say 100 pixel, or let's say 500 pixel, and a width, let's make it 500 pixel, and we say a background color of, let's say, blue. So look at the beauty. Let me run this first. You see something? Let me enlarge my screen. Good. Let me reduce it. It's too large. Width, make it 200. Let's make it 200. 500 is too large. Good. So let's use something that this is a fixed value. So I can actually choose to use width, but let's use a fixed value for this. So where does the media come? We say the symbol first. We start with at media. So if I type this, automatically it will drop this and say indicate a screen for me. But you can just leave it as at media. So this in between this parentheses is where you set either a maximum width or a minimum width, or the both. We can actually set the both, but let's work with the maximum width. And I say maximum width. So what is the maximum width I want to change? Let's say at maximum of let's say 300 or 400, or let's say 500 pixel. Wow, my battery is already below 20. Okay, let's proceed. I want this background color to change to green. Sorry, at this, what do I want? I want this container. So I first of all record the container. That's the same thing I'm styling. And I want the background color to change to green. Then I want this width also to be 200 pixel, and I want, sorry, let's make it smaller, let's say 100 pixel to be obvious, or let's say 70 pixel, make it over, and a height of let's say also 70 pixel. So let me refresh this. Practically I'm using a live server, it should refresh. So what this screen size, you can see the size, this is at 1002. So I'm reducing. I set a maximum of 500. So I keep going. Immediately I clock 500, something happens. I don't know if you can understand what is happening here. So immediately I get to 500, it automatically take up the design I placed for it. That is just it. So I can decide to say, and at minimum, let's see what minimum is doing. If it's minimum width 500, it means at this minimum it will remain neutral until you get to this one. So it become from this one to the highest. So that is what we mean. I hope that is clear. So you can use it to achieve any design. So you can say a font, maybe for a text that is big on this last screen, usual, you can come down here and make it smaller using the media screen. Just target the screen and give it this specific design. So this is a common breakpoint. So for mobiles, it's usually a maximum of 480. If I want to develop for a mobile view, so I should be targeting maximum width of 480 pixels. So I know that every time I'm developing here will fit in on mobile screens. And for tablets, you target 768, and for small laptops 1002 24 pixel, and for desktop is 1200. This is their own desktop. So this is the same thing we just achieved. So you can have minimum width. So why we are using minimum width on this maximum, I have explained that means it start taking effect from two of this one down to wherever width. So next one is the mobile first design. So what is mobile first design? So design for mobile first, then scale up to larger screens, like exactly what I said during introductory part. So focus since the traffic, the percentage of users is more on mobile, so we focus more on that mobile when you're designing. Then you can now scale to other larger screens. It's very easier. So this is a very simple thing. So you can see by default a container is blocked. Then I can say at minimum width, meaning it starts taking effect from this. At minimum width, it starts taking effect from this tablet and above. You can see tablet and above. From tablet, anybody using tablet and above, if you change the display to flex. This is a very simple illustration for this. So by default, you are designing for mobile, that display is blocked by default. But any screen that is above mobile will be flex. That is what we mean. Next is the responsive flex bus. So we have done this in our previous class, but I'll just run a recap. So most of the properties we discuss here is the flex wrap, justify content, align items, flex grow. So I'll explain this flex grow and flex string together, and flex basics. So this is very simple stuff we have here. So I'll quickly just do this. Let's run this code here. So let me comment on this. Let's leave that container. So I will add more div of card. Let me just add maybe four. Okay, I have 3 is okay. We can work with 3. So I can style the container. Let's say let me remove this container height and the color. I don't need this command. So let me say I display, since they have other type, I will say display of flex, and I will make it a flex wrap. That means it should wrap. Once it exceeds the screen, it wraps to make it responsive. And a gap, you can use a gap and say 20 pixels to give a gap between them. So I can call a card, the cards that I have, and I will say let's give a width or a height of let's say 200 pixels. I will give a height. Let me give a width. So let's use a short form called flex. So this flex combines the flex grow, the flex string, and the actual, that is the flex basic, which is that it contains. This is a short form for flex grow, flex string, and flex basic. So I'll explain what is doing. So first I can say 1 for the flex grow, and I'll say flex string, and I'll give a default, the basic, I can say maybe 300 pixels. So what I'm saying is that by default, the size of the bus will be 300 pixels, but if there is extra spaces, it will grow. That's what we mean by grow. It will grow. That means we take up the entire space. There won't be any free space. But if there is no space, it will just maintain this one. And when it's smaller, it will shrink. That's what we are saying by this. So let me run this code and see what we have. I'm not setting a background color for us to see the effect. So let me say a background color. Let's say blue. I don't know why I like blue though. Good. So you can see now. So let me increase size. How many cars do I have? Good. Okay. This is it. So you can see that this is 3 cars taking up the same width. It's growing to make up here all this. If I have only 2, let me remove 1. You can see something. If I remove 1 of this card, it will still grow. But you can see it still grows. If even though it's only 1 will still grow to take up the entire width. You can see. So this is being responsive. So if I have multiple of it, it will keep taking up. And if it's larger, it will shrink. It will be able to shrink. And it wraps. You can see it. Even this last one is growing because there's no other space it will grow. So if I reduce this, for instance, and I keep increasing, or let's just make it a bit responsive, inspect this code, let me see what will happen. So if I keep reducing this, you can see that shrinking, even a smaller screen, it can shrink. That is that flex shrink, and it's still very okay even when it's shrinking. You can see it doesn't spoil anything, so we can have this very well. So that is for the flex box. We have discussed that, and this is explanation of what I just did now. So this container set this child element and wrap to the next new line, which is the flex wrap that we use. And this card, I just explained what these three things are doing. First is the flex growth, is a shorthand. So this card will grow to fill up available space, and this shrink can shrink if the container is too narrow. And this idea based width of each card before growing or shrinking is 300 pixels. This is the default value. So the next one is the responsive grid. So the responsive grid is still almost similar to Flex, but this works on both the column and the rows. So this one, having this repeat means it will fit in different screens we have. So by default, this is the minimum. If you have a minimum of 250 pixels, then this one fraction is still doing the same work of that less growth. So whatever space you have, it will just keep taking up that space, and to add a gap. So this auto fit adjust columns automatically, minimize sets and maximum size. Minimize sets, minimum and maximum size. So this is it, minimum and maximum. So at minimum, it will take up this size. At maximum, it will keep taking up the actual space that we have. That's what this responsive grid is talking about. So before we round up, we'll talk about the responsive typography. So use fluid typography instead of using fixed. I've spoken about that. So instead of saying font size 10 pixels, you can use say 5 view width, or you can say use this pattern, this clamp, right? This C clamp, C lamp. You can say 5.5 rem. So what we are saying, at minimum screen, it will take up this size. This is the preferred. So if it's neutral, actual size, it will take up this. For maximum, it will reduce to this to take up the 5 rem. So you can use any of these two patterns to have a responsive typography, meaning it will adjust very well in different screen size. It adjusts very well in different screen size. So let's take a very basic example here. So I can just have maybe a paragraph and say this is a paragraph. Please confirm that you can still hear me, so I know what I'm doing. Okay, thank you very much. So I use the P and I can say font size. So let's say font size. Let's see the difference. Font size, I say 5 view width. Let's see what we have here. Let me do. Just watch. You can see that as my script is producing, the text is still following the screen to tell you how responsive it is. But if I say fixed, it won't do that. Let's say I'm having 50 pixels, which is fixed. You can see instead it's just breaking. It's not responsive. So you are not advised to use this. So is either you use the view width, say 5 view width. You have discussed that in our relative and absolute value, or you can just use the C lamp, and I can specify the first minimum. I can say at minimum take 1.5 rem. The preferred one, I can say the 5 view width by preferred if it's default. Then if it's maximum screen, we use 3 rem. So this will work perfectly well. Also, you can see at small screen, small screen is taking up that minimum width. As we're going, at last screen to keep it to take up that one we prefer. We have specified. But for me, I actually prefer using just those viewpoints, the view width. And just say view width. So this will stay very well for every screen size. Every screen size. As you are increasing, it's adjusting. It's perfectly well and very simple. So I actually prefer using this simple one. So next one we'll be discussing will be the advanced responsive techniques. So this I have spoken about this now when we are discussing HTML, very important. On the head section, make sure this is present. So you can see that is why whenever we open it by default, it always places for us this metal main viewpoint content is very this is what actually makes our page work very well on designing a responsive web pages. So if you without this, responsive design will not work properly on mobile. So this is very important. Make sure this is very present in every HTML file. At the head section, is you can see it. I tagged it very important, meaning it's very important. The viewpoint meta tag is very important. You must use that. So next one before we come. Also known as custom properties, are entities defined by CSS author that contain specific values to be reused throughout a document. They make the code more maintainable, easier to read, and facilitate dynamic changes like theming. Change our company color maybe from green to blue. You as a developer, you shouldn't be going every line of the code to be changing. Whenever you see red, now go and change every line of code where you have used color. No, if you set a variable, all you have to do, go to where you have set the variable and change that one color, and it will affect every other thing in the page. That is the beauty of using this variable. And how do we define that? Your custom property are declared using with a name that must begin with two dash, like double dash, dash, and their values are accessed using the var. So whenever you have defined the value and define the name and the value, to access them on your code, you use the var function. That is variable var function. So we'll do a very simple example on that before we can round up for the day. So I can say on my media query here. So to do that, maybe I can do it at the top. So it's best to set it up here. So you start with the root. Then you can now set dash. I can set, let's say, main color. I set it to be, let's say, green. This simple example. I can just say from font color or background color to change, or font text, whatever color I need, and I need it to be. Paro, please will help me to present the slide once this system goes up. So I want to change. How do I use it? I just have to call, maybe I can say I want on color. I'll call my color. Let me put a comma here. I'll call my color, and I'll use, sorry, not comma, semicolon. Yes, I'll say color. I'll now use the word var. Then inside it, you can see immediately I place var, is giving me all the variables that are present. So I can use the main color, and if I open my code, I can see that the green is changing. And whenever I just want to change it, I don't need to change my code. I just come to where I have it. I can change it to any color of my choice whenever I want to change in the future, and automatically it will adapt. So that is for the variable. variable. Wow. Question time and discussion. I hope we have made a lot of sense. Let's go back to, I don't know, I may connect with my phone now. So Chisholm, Emmy, please, question time and let's discuss. Is it well understood? Is anywhere confusing in what you have um, studied or looked into this beautiful evening? So many question? Emmy, any question? Understood. Understood. Okay. Let me say I should get a better network. No, you buy me Starlink. Buy me a Starlink and be forwarding it for me. I will appreciate. All right. So, Hemi said understood. Yes, yes. I don't know what do you mean by understood. Okay, understood. Chisholm, any question? So I have question for you, Hemi. Hemi, what is the syntax for adding a media query in our code? Hemi, what is the syntax for adding a media query?
Sorry, network was somehow, but I can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any question?
No, wait, sorry.
Okay, Hemi is typing.
Oh, last,
Is there no
the last,
question?
no, can you hear me, sir? Wait.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so, I don't know, like the last example you gave using the dash dash var, which you said is to call the variable. I really
Yes.
don't. I really question is if if what you want to change in that web page is maybe you can't, maybe it's not a main column or it's not a main variable and it's not a primary, I don't know how to put it that because I saw you wrote main uh, color and the primary color. What if it's neither of the two? And it's just maybe, for instance, maybe you're told to like change the logo of that website into another one, and you want to call it because you've already written a whole lot of code, and now you want to
If
change that one.
those things here, you must specify. Sorry, you must specify them here. Whatever I want to use here, you must specify it here. You must specify it here. So if, for instance, I want to use,
Oh, it's very, the system is hot. So is it my network? No, tell me anything.
Sorry, my PC went low.
default, let's assume that this is up to 10,000. If you didn't make a variable, that means you come here and change the color, come here and change the color, come here and change the color. So you change the color 10,000 places.
No.
But this variable help us to store that you don't need to change so many places. Just come to where you have defined the variable and you will change the color. Let's say maybe I change it to green. Once I change it to green, automatically every 10,000 codes that has this color will change.
Mm.
Same thing happens to here. So if I change this size now to 40 view width, automatically everywhere that has this width will change the size. So I don't have to tamper 10,000 lines of code or 10,000 places I have used it. Just come and everywhere I've used it will change. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, sir. I understand, sir. Hmm.
So can you hear me now? Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So let me join.
You shouldn't rely only on your width. Forgetting viewport, footport meta tag is also a mistake. Then fixed width everywhere. This is very a problem, a bigger problem. Don't use a fixed, use it only when you know that I want to use it. Like when I use it on my image, I know that it has to be fixed on this particular place. Make it fixed only when you need it. Not testing landscape mode. Whenever you are designing, also try to test your landscape to see how it shows or how it appears. I think we have a way of showing landscape. So to do that, I can see, let's see if I have, look at it. You can rotate it to see the landscape. This is the landscape on, on my Galaxy S8. I can rotate to see the landscape. Look at how it will be. So you can see. So whenever you develop, you always test the landscape of whatever you are developing to see how it will be. This our browser. You don't actually need to test on your phone. You can use your browser and test out everything. It will work fitting in the actual real. Alright, so the takeaway, always use mobile first, like we said, first focus on the mobile view, use relative unit which are fluid, test on real devices, avoid pitched height, use flexbox and grid together, right, to achieve a lot. Then optimize images and make it responsive. Keep design simple. Don't use too many designs, just very, very simple. Very, very simple. Then assignment. Please make sure the previous assignment, Chisom, I did not see your assignment.
So I didn't know there was an assignment.
Before we can go.